Good afternoon, everybody. It's Stephen Paul from WinExtra bringing your daily brief for October the 3rd. What a
Show
day.
number 28. 38.
38. Yes. Did you know you talk funny?
Apparently.
Yes, that's what Pierre says. You got a funny accent.
Hold on. How on earth? Where on earth does a Frenchman, that's Pierre, who also writes for WinExtra, by the way, folks, how on earth does a Frenchman get off telling an Irishman that I talk funny? Seriously, Pierre? But you know what? Do you know what is also funny? The day before yesterday's show, we got given out to in the YouTube comments.
Yes.
By a Swedish viewer who said that he found it very irritating that we were funny and not being very serious with the show. And yesterday we got given out to by, I believe it was by Kevin Wells, Sucktacular on YouTube, that we're not being funny enough. So I don't know what to do there, but you know what? At least I'm keeping somebody amused with my accent. Yeah. I hope you're happily there, Pierre.
In the line of news, this is kind of actually an interesting little bit that came from Ed Bott. Apparently, businesses are telling Microsoft, we're done with XP.
Well, it's about time.
Yeah, what took them so long?
Right, well, they kind of have no choice now. Yeah. You know, you can't buy XP anymore. You can't get it as an OEM, etc. Right? You know, Windows 7 already done 240 million plus copies, hottest selling operating system of all time. Unlike
the iOS.
Don't get me started on that John Gruber thing, okay? John Gruber posted today on Daring Fireball. Now, John Gruber is Uber Apple fanboy, and I don't
he's second Uber now.
Okay, yeah, behind what's his tits from TechCrunch.
Yes.
But I have nothing wrong with him being an Apple fanboy, but when he turns around and in a talk about iPad apps coming to Mac OS, turns around and says that iOS is the hottest platform in the world, in the tech industry in the world today, I really have to sit back and I wonder, well, since when does 240 million plus, hottest selling operating system of all time, not qualify as hot? But then again, nobody makes money off Windows, do they?
No.
Seriously? No, my arse, they don't. But yeah, so finally we're seeing that businesses are, apparently 90% of businesses surveyed by, I believe it was Gartner, but I'm not sure, have said that they expect to migrate to Windows 7. They're not waiting for Service Pack 1 because, well, this thing is uber reliable. Yep. And it's solid, and it's stable, and people are just generally happy with the performance. And we all know that apparently there's nothing new coming in Service Pack 1. It's just a roll-up of updates. Yeah. Might be a few tightening ups, but nothing that's going to affect anything. No. So yeah, and it's about time for large businesses to move on. One thing that I'm not happy about, though, is there is a company called Unibrow, which in itself is funny, Unibrows. And they are releasing a plugin for IE8 that allows companies who want to stay back on XP, want to still run their IE6 apps, to run them in an IE8 tab. Now, they have done this by licensing DLLs from Microsoft, which will allow the stuff to be rendered exactly as if it was in IE6 inside an IE8 tab. But to me, that opens up security concerns. If it's the IE6 DLLs, wouldn't it be subject to IE6 vulnerability?
Yeah, that's a good, valid question. This one, when I saw it, I sort of chalked it up as the really kind of, what the hell? And also, this is kind of actually a really smart business move.
It's an incredibly smart business move. It's against what you and I would advocate, which is, you know what, IE6 2001, time to move on now. But, in another sense, you could say I'm jealous I didn't come up with this idea first to make money, and maybe come up with this idea 2 years ago.
Yeah. Interesting. There's been a whole rigmarole going on in the last few days since a post originally by Mary Jo Foley, which we mentioned in a previous show, about Silverlight being supplanted by HTML5 as far as Microsoft's roadmap is concerned. Along those lines, Bing Maps apparently is dropping Silverlight for HTML5.
Yes and no. There's been a lot of confusion about this, and it's basically, again, it's Microsoft's fault because of a rather convoluted blog post that was put up on Bing, one of the Bing blogs. But basically what is happening is they're not dropping Silverlight. What they're doing is replacing the ActiveX 3D inside Bing Maps so that it will be, you'll have that functionality on more platforms. Now, it doesn't mean that if you go there in IE9, you're not going, with Silverlight installed, you're not going to get awesome Silverlight abilities. It just means that this is going to be available across more platforms, and it'll degrade gracefully to work on more platforms using HTML5 features to try to provide the same, similar experience.
Which really, you know, looking at it from Microsoft's point of view and Bing's point of view, this makes total sense.
Well, yeah, Microsoft doesn't want Bing to be limited to having its experience just optimal on Internet Explorer and Windows OS. They want to be everywhere, just like Google is. And you can't do that if you're relying on a proprietary technology that doesn't run on all platforms. That said, the future for Silverlight is limited in the desktop environment. We've discussed this before, and I really do think that Silverlight is heading towards being just the main development platform for Windows Phone 7.
Yeah. And in the Phone 7 line, we have from TechSpot, Microsoft, Windows Phone 7 is 20% more efficient than rivals. Now, we haven't even had this out in the market long enough. I don't know how this is coming up. I really don't.
Well, I think in this case they're talking about greater efficiency in terms of workflow, in terms of what you're doing. Whether you're checking your email, whether you're getting to your calendar, whether you want to see your photos or post something online. So basically it's, you know, it's a test of how easy is it to do. Now, having not had my hands on a Windows Phone 7 device yet, I can't speak to how easy it is. But another interesting thing that came out of the same post is that apparently we're seeing demand being unable to be matched in terms of shipped devices in the UK. And many of the UK carriers, such as Orange UK, are actually giving users £20, that's UK pounds, which is probably about $25, $27, in vouchers because of the delay in shipping the units. Some people are saying it's because, well, there's manufacturer shortages. That wouldn't be unexpected in this day and age. We see Apple having them. Yeah. We've heard of shortages in the OLED screens, or however you pronounce it, which are delaying some of the HTC phones, or HTC phones. So, but, hey, they're sold out, and there's apparently still demand. So, it's all good.
Michael Dell had an interesting little statement in line with Windows Phone 7 in that from a developer's point of view, it is easier to develop apps for Windows Phone 7 than it is for Android.
Yeah, I mean, he was at a developers conference in Hong Kong, and, you know, basically what we're doing here is, this is just a tiny tidbit that we're extracting out of his entire presentation. But one thing that he did make very clear is that, now, he is obviously the CEO of Dell, and they have experience both developing for Android and Windows and Windows Phone 7, etc. And basically he's saying is that the developers are finding it much easier to develop for Windows Phone 7 than they are for Android. That said, I've also seen reports around the web quoting this as being Android and iOS, but we'll stick with what we actually know. And what we actually know is that he definitely said it's easier than Android.
Okay, we're going to close out today with a little bit of really good Xbox-related news. First up is the fact that Xbox Live Gold Family Pack has been released, which gives you 4 yearly membership for the price of less than 2.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal. I mean, that means in the US here right now, at the current prices, you get 4 years of Xbox Live for $100. Yeah, you can't sniff at that, especially if you're somebody who was just invested in the newer Xbox and or a Kinect.
Yeah.
So you know this device is going to be around your house for the next couple of years. So why not? Cheap and cheerful. Cheap is always good.
Yeah, and in the line of good marketing moves until someone claims it's a conspiracy of some sort, Microsoft is giving Kinects to 4,000 boys and girls clubs.
Yeah, these are US-based boys and girls clubs. And you know what? It's a brilliant move.
Yeah.
You know, let's put a Kinect that everybody can play with inside of all these youth organizations. Again, it's about branding children. Now, I do know that these youth organizations, they provide a safe after-school environment for children whose parents are working or just not available at the time. But this brands them.
Yeah.
This gets them playing it and coming home and saying to mommy and daddy, you know, Mommy, I want this for Christmas.
I want Connectables.
I want Connectables. I want Connectimals. I want the game that I play at the youth club with my friends.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Cool. Well done, Microsoft.
Excellent move. And on that note, folks, don't forget to check us out at our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WinExtra. And give us a thumbs up. We like
Give us a thumbs up. Yeah. We love to hear from you too, folks. 251-272-9633 is the voicemail line, and podcast@winextra.com is the email. And of course, as Stephen said, leave us a comment down below if you're watching us on YouTube.
So on that note, folks, this is Steve, and that's Paul. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching.